Hey guys, Kai here, the Amateur Sports Focus podcast. And today I had to film this episode by myself since Frankie is still in Florida where the hurricane is happening. But while I was editing this podcast, I realized that I had the wrong microphone setup. So I am super sorry for the sound quality. It's pretty terrible in all honesty. But the episode's still pretty fun, very informative in my opinion. So still check it out. I really apologize for the sound quality. Thank you guys.
Welcome back, everyone, to another installment of the Amateur Sports Focus podcast. I'm Kai, and as you can see, Frankie is not here at the moment because there might be, a hurricane ravaging Florida itself while I'm up in New York. So I hope everyone's staying safe throughout this entire hurricane, and I hope everyone comes on the other side of it completely untouched. But thinking of you guys, and especially since I'm from Florida, for sure thinking of you guys. But in the meantime, I will be doing a solo podcast episode today because I promised you guys that I'd have a podcast out every single week at 6 o'clock. And sometimes it's not always at 6 o'clock, but here I am. And here we are. So, obviously, there are bigger things that happened than the NFL season this past week. First off, Albert Pujols hit his 700th home run. And actually, he hit 699 and 700 in the same day, which is absolutely insane. I mean, this man is how old? Let me look it up. Albert Pujols has been playing forever. And for him to get two home runs in the same game off of an actual MLB pitcher is insane. He is 42 years old, and he has hit 700 home runs in his MLB career. That is unheard of. Obviously, it's happened before, but it was such a special moment when it happened, and it was just so great to see. I know that I wasn't watching it live, but I was watching the play-by-play, so it's fun that I see a historical moment in MLB history of just a little animation on the MLB app. Pujols hit, runs, fly ball to deep left field, 700 home runs. I mean, it was a great moment. And then follow that back by Aaron Judge getting walked for, 40 consecutive at-bats, basically. So he hit number 60 to, be one lower than Roger Maris's record because he needs 61. And then no one in the division would throw him a ball because no one wants to be seen as the pitcher who gave up Aaron Judge's 61st home run. But the man has like a 620 on-base percentage since hitting number 60 because no one will throw to him. I know I watched him play, and he went 0 for 1 with 4 walks as well. It's insane. I mean, yes, the Yankees are super, super far ahead, but in what world do you not at least try to give yourself a chance to win? He's not like he's just a slow power hitter. It's not like you're intentionally walking David Ortiz knowing he's not going to take a few bags. The man can still run. He's 6'7". He can run. He's a prime athlete. So if he's on first, someone hits a single, he'll make it to third. And guess what? He's scoring on the next batter that makes contact. You're not putting yourself in a place to win. And now it's probably going to be even worse because no one wants him to break the record because he hit number 61 on a hanging curveball. So no one wants him to break the record now. And I think they have a few more division games left where, I know he'll hit 62. I know he'll break the record. He just has to. He's such a good player. In my mind, MVP frontrunner. But just with the way things are going, people are, in my mind, are too concerned about their ego and their team's representation than playing the game itself. Like, yeah, he is this year's best player in baseball, and yeah, he's hitting over 300 normally, but that still means that 7 out of 10 times he gets out. But if you're walking him 4 out of 5 times, he does not get out that 7 out of 10 times, which is just insane to me. Okay, a home run isn't going to do anything when he's the leadoff hitter because they want him to get the record. Sure, now he might be down 1-0. Isn't that better than him getting on, someone else getting on, and Anthony Rizzo hitting a 3-run home run? Anyways, it's just, I don't like it. And the Yankees clinched the division, the AL East, which is the hardest division in baseball. Anyone can fight me on that because it has The Yankees, the Rays, the Red Sox, but they're not great compared to the rest of the AL East. They're still a pretty good baseball team. Blue Jays, great. Orioles, see, I can speak freely about the Orioles because Frankie isn't here right now. Orioles aren't good. The Orioles get on a hot streak and then suck every single year. They don't have the talent. It's not their team. That's not the problem. They just don't have the talent. They're getting new people. They have Adley Rutschman, who probably one of the best rookies in baseball. I know Bobby Witt's doing pretty well, but Adley Rutschman's just clutch, and you hear way more about him. Gunnar Henderson's being called up. Obviously, Cedric Mullins, one of the most electric players in baseball. He's great. So they have a good future, but at the moment, they're not contenders for anything. But still, AL East, hardest division in baseball, no matter what. When you have to play each of those teams so many times, insane. But now we get back to the NFL season, which, I mean, a lot of crazy things happened. So I'm just going to throw up what we had for this past week on our NFL predictions. And as you can see, I'm not doing too well. And Frankie's still doing pretty well. But so many upsets that were just insane. The Colts beating the Chiefs. And one thing was that at the end of the second half, the Chiefs decided to run the ball and run out the clock. At the end of the first half going into the second half, they decided to just run the ball and run out the clock. When you have Patrick Mahomes, one of the best, if not the best quarterbacks in the game in a very long time, and you're not going to take a chance of him just to throw the ball to the end zone, you're going to run it out with your third-string running back in Jerick McKinnon just to run out the clock. They're only winning by 4 at that time. It was 14-10, and you're going to run out the clock. It makes no sense whatsoever. But then, hey, the Packers played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then back-to-back MVP Aaron Rodgers comes out, throwing the ball. Romeo Doubs, preseason MVP candidate, for a touchdown on our first drive. I haven't seen us play that well since, I don't even know, maybe week 16 of last year. And then we fall right back into what we're doing and decide to play terrible football. And I know it all started, there was one play in that game that switched everything. It was when Aaron Jones caught a 3-yard slant, got slammed into by Vita Vea. First off, Aaron Jones is maybe 220 pounds. Maybe. Vita Vea is at least 370. Full-on tackle, and bam, the ball comes out. I watched it live. I was so sad, and I was concerned for Aaron Jones because he got slammed into by that man. It was insane, but that just switched everything from there. And yeah, the Bucs couldn't get anything started because, check this, Tom Brady, not great at football anymore. So they couldn't get anything started. Our defense is locked down because the Packers are winning the Super Bowl for the next 8 years. And then we get to the end of the game. The score is 14-6. Tom Brady has the ball, and he does what Tom Brady does. He works his way down the field to get down to, I think it was the 8. We have 9 seconds left in the game. They get what should have been a delay of game. And I know the rule is the ref has to look at the clock, then look back and see that the ball hasn't moved. I don't know if it was the graphic on the game, but it was well over 2 seconds before they snapped that ball after the clock hit 0-0. And they get the touchdown because everyone's thinking that, hey, it's delay a game. I don't know, maybe move them back 5 yards. But no, they get the touchdown. And then they're going for 2, obviously, because they want to tie up the game. They get another delay of game. And this one was maybe 1 second after it should have been. So they were still giving them a little bit of leeway. But they actually call it. They move them back 5 yards. And one of the big things that happened that I want to talk about is apparently the Jumbotron operator showed something on the Jumbotron of the Bucs Stadium prior to the second attempt of the 2-point conversion. And Aaron Rodgers told Matt LaFleur, who told Joe Barry, the Packers defensive coordinator, that something was going on. In my mind, I believe that the Jumbotron operator showed Tom Brady talking to the Bucs head coach or the Bucs offensive coordinator, whoever calls plays, I'm not entirely sure, saying that they're just going to run the same play, which obviously means it was a pass, and they're just going to run the same play. So the Packers had already seen how this play was supposed to play out, put everyone in the correct coverage, and Devontae Campbell leaps, 4 feet in the air to knock the ball away. Packers win the game. It was one of the most exciting games I've ever seen, but also one of the most stressful games I've ever seen. I didn't love it, and here we are. So, played pretty well. But, okay, NFL. Can I just complain about something? Why are we matching up the worst possible teams for primetime games? Of all the primetime games I've watched in the past 3 weeks of football, I don't know, maybe 12 points were scored in total? What is this? Why are we doing this? And yes, I know it's not the NFL's fault. It's the team's fault. Stop calling so many penalties, please. I get it. Some of them are for player safety. Some of them aren't. It doesn't make any sense. But these games are so boring to watch. And I am a huge fan of football. Huge. And I'm considering not watching these games just because I don't think they're going to be great. Now, here's the thing. So, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Miami Dolphins do play today, which is September 29th, Thursday Night Football. I think this will be a great game, a shootout. But there's also a problem with the Dolphins. So last week the Dolphins played the Bills, and one of the Bills players, I'm not sure who, took a cheap shot on Tua Tagovailoa, where he had already thrown the ball and he pushed him back. His head slams against the turf. And when he got up, he stumbled, clearly concussed. I've seen someone get concussed before and they stumble. It was just like that. So he goes to the locker room before half. Second half, comes out, perfectly fine. How does that make any sense? They opened an investigation into this because of how quickly he returned to the field, which there's no way they ran an ample test on the concussion protocol. So it'll be interesting to see what's coming out of that. But the Dolphins are just full of controversy this year. You have what happened with Brian Flores of him accusing the team of telling him to throw games. Then you have the entire Tom Brady collusion controversy, where they were trying to get Tom Brady when he wasn't or when he was under contract with the Patriots. And now you have this. It's just got to pull it together. I don't know what's up with Florida, but the Dolphins got to pull it together. But, yeah, just insanity. So I'm going to do this in the middle of the show just because I got to think of more things to say. But I'm going to go over the predictions for NFL Week 4. So, obviously, since Frankie can't be here today, I had him just send me his projected winners. So, tonight, Thursday Night Football, between the Dolphins and the Cincinnati Bengals, he is projecting the Dolphins to win. I think Tua might be banged up, so I'm going with the Bengals. The Vikings and the Saints in London, I am going with the Vikings. Even though they almost lost to the Detroit Lions last week. Now, if we know anything about the Detroit Lions, is that you should not lose to this team. Bengals and Atlanta. The Browns and Atlanta. We both picked the Browns. The Bills and Baltimore. I'm thinking an upset, but he thinks Buffalo. I'm saying the Ravens. The Washington Commanders against Dallas. I'm going Dallas, and so is he. Carson Wentz, under pressure, is perhaps one of the worst football players to exist. So I think that's why both of us are choosing the Cowboys, especially with that elite pass rush. You have Micah Parsons, who is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate last year when he was a rookie. So just their defense has gotten so much better. Trayvon Diggs got his first interception last week, so I think they're going to win. The Seahawks and against the Detroit Lions, we both picked Detroit. Again, I said that thing about the Detroit Lions. They're still better than the Seahawks. If anyone here knows me, they know that I hate Geno Smith more than anything, and he's the quarterback of the Seahawks, so I'm just going to stick with that. The Chargers and the Texans, we both picked the Chargers because that is the most obvious choice. They were supposed to be the best team in football, and then they lose to the Jaguars of all people. Makes no sense. But anyway, the Titans and the Colts. he's picking the Colts. I don't know. I'm picking the Titans. Derrick Henry is back, in my opinion. He's running people over left and right. The Bears and the Giants. He chooses the Bears. I can't do that as a self-respecting human being, not even Packers fan. As a self-respecting human being, I'm not ever going to choose the Bears. I probably chose them like last week, but that's besides the point. I'm choosing the Giants while he chooses the Bears. Jacksonville and Philadelphia. Philly is going to win this. Both of us think this. Philly might be going to the Super Bowl this year. First, they have to beat the Packers, which won't happen. But they're the best team in football right now, in probably everybody's mind. They're 3-0. The Dolphins are 3-0. I don't think the Dolphins are going to the Super Bowl, but they'll get to the postseason this year. And the Eagles might make it pretty far, so that's something to look out for. The Jets and the Steelers. He's choosing the Steelers. I'm choosing the Jets. Again, Mitch Trubisky isn't it. He's never been it. He was drafted ahead of Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson now. Deshaun Watson, all of his problems, not going to talk about that. But Patrick Mahomes, he was drafted over him to go to the Bears. Name one good Bears quarterback in the last 50 years? Exactly. So, Jets all the way, even though Zach Wilson is playing, and Zach Wilson's not that great. But still, Arizona and Carolina, both of us think Arizona. Packers, Patriots without Mac Jones, mind you, their first-round pick from last year, and pretty good quarterback. Packers are going to win. Even if they had Mac Jones, they're still going to win. Then we have Denver and Las Vegas. The Raiders, even though they're 0-3, Russell Wilson has not proven to be as elite as he was in Seattle on the Broncos. So we're both going with the Raiders. Kansas City and Tampa Bay. Chiefs, it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes of all people. I know you're facing Tom Brady and the Bucs. I know this is a rematch of what happened in the Super Bowl, but we just have to go with the Chiefs. And then the Rams and the 49ers. Jimmy G, I don't know, man. We talked about you like episode 2, and you haven't proven us wrong of how bad you are. So we're both going with the Rams. Hi guys, Kai here, the Amateur Sports Focus Podcast, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys are checking out all of the social platforms that we have. So that is obviously Instagram and TikTok. TikTok will be posting highlights and different behind-the-scenes things of all of our recordings. Any bonus content that we have will be thrown up on our TikTok. Same for the videos on Instagram, but Instagram does allow us to have an interactive feature to our podcast, since we can put up polls, we can have people DM us for listener questions, everything like that. So be sure to follow us on both of those platforms. So that's Amateur Sports Focus on both TikTok and Instagram. And for our full-length podcast episodes, we are everywhere podcasts are available. That's Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, everything like that. So make sure you go check us out there. Keep playing all of our episodes, everything like that, and we are on YouTube. If you want the video portion of this podcast, we are on YouTube. All of this is Amateur Sports Focus. The only thing with YouTube is now that we're remote, there's not much that we add to it. I know that the TikToks look like we have like graphics and stuff like that, but that's simply highlights. So full-length episodes are on YouTube and all the different podcast platforms. So go check us out. So, another football news, I finally lost my first fantasy football matchup. I know all of you guys are saddened to hear it. I know it'll break all of your hearts, but I still won the one in the important league. That's my home league with the rest of my friends. I'm not going to lose. It doesn't matter. It just sucked. Last week was not great on the football end, but who cares? Another thing that happened in the sports world is Roger Federer retired from playing tennis. In his last match that he lost, he's been a staple of the tennis world for a very, very long time. I mean, he was part of the Big Four. 3 people can argue, but still, Djokovic, Nadal, I have mixed feelings about Nadal. I like him as a player. As a person, I find him annoying. Okay, anyways, Nadal, Djokovic, Federer, and then in my mind, Andy Murray. Big Four in tennis. And he retired. And at his announcement of retiring, Nadal was there, and they both cried after it because it was just such an emotional moment. I mean, he's, I believe, second in all-time earnings from winnings in tennis, just an absolute staple of that world. And he's gone. And there has been a really large rise of new talent in the tennis world, both in men's, women's tour. I mean, you have people like Coco Gauff on the women's side who are just tearing it up, doing so well. When I was at the U.S. Open, I got to actually see her play. It was great. And then you have people like Yannick Sinner who are also doing really well. He's super young. I didn't even think he didn't look like he played tennis when he came out. He's just so skinny and lanky, but he can play. So the future of tennis is pretty good. It's sad to see Roger Federer go, and especially since every single time a Grand Slam was on in my house, my dad would have it playing, and he was obviously one of the matches they'd always show because he was one of the biggest names. He was always in the largest stadium at wherever they were, whether it was Wimbledon, French, Australian, U.S. He was always playing, and so I wish he would have gone out on a better note, not losing in like a round of 32 match. But hey, you can't complain. He had a great career anyways. So just sad to see him go. But I mean, hopefully good luck in whatever he does in the future. Also on the retirement front was Clay Matthews. So what I didn't know is Clay Matthews hadn't played since like 2018. He obviously pretty much lifelong Packer until he went to the then St. Louis Rams. But apparently he hadn't officially retired, and now he still hasn't officially retired, but he did reportedly say that his playing days were over. And I love that man. I mean, look at my hair. How could I not? And I just thought he was done. I thought he had retired. Now, this makes me want to bring up a discussion of Hall of Fame and what it means to belong in the Hall of Fame. So I remember seeing a video maybe a month ago of Deion Sanders saying that there should be two separate Hall of Fames. That there should be a Hall of Fame for people who changed the game, who were so much better than everyone else, and that he should belong in there. And I don't agree with the two separate Hall of Fame thing, but if they had it, Deion Sanders would be there. He is one of the, if probably not, he's the best cornerback of all time in all of football. So he belongs to be there. And what he was saying was that now the Hall of Fame is just people who were good or great. It wasn't people who were amazing. And I don't know, I tend to agree, but it just doesn't make sense to me because it's not like 25 people are being added every single year like it feels for baseball they are. I know that's not factual, but it just feels like that. But for football, each one of the people that's nominated makes a case for why they should be in the Hall of Fame. Peyton Manning, obviously. What was it last year? Charles Woodson, obviously. Like, these people deserve to be in the Hall of Fame for their play. So, in my mind, what it means to be a Hall of Fame player is that you need to be feared in the league. Not off the field, like some other people, but on the field, you need to be feared. If you're a cornerback, no one should even look your way because they know people are covered. If you're a quarterback, they should have specific coverages that they practice for weeks on end just because they know they're playing you 8 weeks later in the schedule. If you're a running back, they should only have defensive linemen out there to try and stop you. Stuff like that. If you are feared on the field in any sort of sport, baseball, football, basketball, anything, then I believe that you should be in the Hall of Fame. It doesn't have to be for multiple seasons at a time. Just look at Calvin Johnson. He is one of the best wide receivers of all time. He did not play for that long. But when he was on the field, he was feared. He was being triple covered at times and still catching passes. So in my mind, that is probably one of the greatest attributes you can have is to be feared on the field. And that's what I think it takes to be in the Hall of Fame. Now I think it's time for me to end this off. So thinking of everyone that's in Florida, all my friends, family, everything like that, everyone else in Florida and that's in the path of the hurricane, I hope all is well and I hope all continues to stay well. And I always have a great time recording these for you, and I look forward to this next week of the NFL season and everything else to come, whether that's Aaron Judge making history, breaking the AL home run record, everything like that. But in the meantime, make sure you go check us out on all places that podcasts are available. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. We are on YouTube for the video segments of our full-length episodes. We are on Instagram and TikTok for all of our highlights and behind-the-scenes content. Make sure you go check us out. Follow us there. For Frankie, who's not here, hopefully he will be next week, I'm Kai. Had a great time, and I'll see you guys next week.